Hi, boys and girls. It's Thursday today, and can you believe it's the last day of April? So I have my calendar here, and we're going to fill in those last 2 days. Yesterday, which was Wednesday, and today, which is Thursday. So let's look at Wednesday first. What are these two numbers? They make up the number 29. So what are they called? It's a 2 and a 9. And then this is a big number here. What is this number? This number is 30. And the numbers that make it up are a 3 and a 0. So go ahead and trace those in and we will be done with April. I can't believe it. So in our next video tomorrow, it's going to be a new month. It's going to be May. May 1st, May 1. All right, so I'm going to put this off to the side. And then hopefully you got to look at the email I sent this morning. And it had some funny looking pictures in the email. You know how on our last day of school we made an X-ray fish. And it's called an X-ray fish because you can see through its skin to its bones. And we, as people, have the technology to go to the doctor or the dentist, and they have a special machine called an X-ray machine, and it can take a photograph of your body, any part of your body, and see your bones, see through your skin to your bones, which is really quite amazing. So if you ever hurt yourself, perhaps you hurt your arm, you might go to the doctor, and they might take a photograph of your arm, and it won't look like this. It'll be a photograph of your bones. They do it at the dentist too. You might have had a photograph, an X-ray photograph of your teeth. So if you looked at the email, you can see that there's 4 photographs, and I wanted to know if you could figure out which part of the body each was. So here are the pictures in the email, and you can see this. Let me see, am I pointing to the right one? This is the first photograph. Did you guess what those are? They're hands. So that's what your hands would look like if they took an X-ray photograph. This one, number 2, I think is the trickiest. Were you able to guess what it is? It's a foot. You can see that long part there, and look how long your toes are. The skin kind of comes up to here, but they go all the way back each toe bone. All right, what's this one? I'll give you a clue. It's a head. It's a sideways, what we call a profile, just the half of your photograph of a head. And then this one, I like this one. Do you know what this is? It's a photograph of somebody's teeth. It looks like he's smiling, doesn't it? You may have a photograph of your teeth like this. All right, you did a good job if you guessed those. So the next thing, and what we're going to do today, is make our own X-ray picture. This is what it's going to look like when we're all done. So you should have a gray piece of paper in your packet that looks like this. And you can take out all your little Q-tips that I put in a tiny Ziploc bag. And you'll need some runny glue and a white crayon. We don't get to use these very often because they don't show up on white paper. But because this is gray, it's going to show up really well. All right, so the first thing, let me angle this down. The first thing we're going to do is trace some letters. Let's start with this one. Do you remember what our letter of the week is? What this letter is called? It's an X. And if you can remember, it can make a couple of different sounds. Either that X sound like fox or box, or it can make just the sound X like X-ray. And that's what this word says, X-ray. So start at the top of the X, draw a diagonal long line down, jump up, and do that other line. And then all the way up the top here, I wonder if you might remember what these letters are called. This first one is an M, and this letter here is a Y. So it's going to say my X-ray. Okay, so let's go ahead and trace the M. And if you remember, we do a straight line down, jump up, and then do the rest of the M. And then we're going to do the Y. Start over here, bring that short line in, jump up, and do a long line down. Okay, it should say my X-ray. Now you're going to need to find a grown-up to help you with this next part. I actually asked my daughter Ellie, come on over Ellie. I have an Ellie too at home, to be my helper. And you're going to find a grown-up because I want you to place your arm on the piece of paper and ask the grown-up to trace your hand and arm. Okay, so I'm going to have Ellie do it. Ellie, you put your hand here. I'm using her because she has a nice small hand, similar in size to yours. Mine is way too big. All right, I'm going to start all the way at the edge of the paper where the back of her arm is. We're going to come up and trace around each finger, and you're going to ask the grown-up to do that for you as well. And back down to the edge of the paper. Thanks, Ellie. You're welcome. Okay, so after you've done that part, now we're going to color it in white. Remember, we want it to look like this when we're all done. So I'm going to take my crayon, and this is a nice big space. So once I get my edge done here, I can actually do some pretty big back and forths. But I want to try to stay inside the line. So take your time working on this. There is absolutely no rush until you've colored in your whole hand and arm. I wonder if anybody in our class has ever had an X-ray before. I'm hoping that for sharing on Friday, I might be able to find an X-ray, an old X-ray in our house. We have some X-rays of teeth, which some of you may have as well. I know my children have both had photographs, X-ray photographs of their teeth. And if anybody might have broken a bone or thought they broke a bone, you might have X-rays from a visit to the doctor's office. All right, I'm getting there. I've almost traced or colored Ellie's entire hand and arm. But I'm very fast, so pause the video until you are all set with finishing coloring, and then we will continue on to step 2. All right, let's get step 2 going. So the next part we're going to add is these. They're Q-tips, but for the purposes of this picture, what do you think they're supposed to be? If you think bones, you are correct. So we're going to add 1 bone for each finger, and we're also going to put a couple of bones for our arm. Okay, so you're going to need your runny glue for this, otherwise they won't stick. And once we stick them down, we're going to have to let it sit for a while so it can dry. All right, I think I'm going to start with the fingers. And I want to put a line of glue that's about the same size as the Q-tip. Then, once I've got my line of glue, I'm going to carefully place it or roll it onto that glue. Okay, I've done my thumb. And the next finger. You can take your time doing this. Maybe when one of your parents come back into the room, you can surprise them and tell them you had an X-ray taken today. Do you think they'll think it's a real one? You might be able to trick them. Okay, I'm going to do 2 more. For my arm here. Ta-da! Okay, we have our own X-ray now. I hope you had fun making this project. Bye, everybody.